Liverpool offers $70 million for the new Salah. Carlos Baleba officially moves to Manchester United. Ayyoub Bouaddi is a Manchester City player, and a rebellion against Infantino was raised in CONCACAF. This is Boot 24, bringing you the top stories of the hour. Just the facts, let's jump right in. A full-fledged transfer battle is unfolding around 25-year-old Ukrainian winger Mykhailo Mudryk in the final days of the summer window. The primary goal for the player in Chelsea's camp is finding a club where the Ukrainian will receive regular pitch time to regain match sharpness following nearly 20 months without official practice due to a doping investigation that officially concluded with all charges dropped. The primary contender in the race for the Ukrainian is Leeds United. Daniel Farke's team made an official proposal for a season-long loan, yet Chelsea rejected the initial offer due to mismatched financial parameters and wage split. Contacts between the clubs continue, with Leeds preparing an improved offer featuring increased coverage of the winger's salary. In parallel, a permanent buyout option is being explored by Brentford. Unlike a loan, the Bees are considering a permanent transfer, while Chelsea is open to a sale if the offer covers the remaining amortization on the player's contract, which runs through 2031. Additionally, Premier League newcomer Coventry City is watching the situation closely. Head coach Frank Lampard is personally interested in this signing. Mudryk himself has already granted verbal consent to a club change, with his primary priority remaining to continue playing in the Premier League. Loan options to French side Strasbourg, owned by the Blueco Group, or Serie A clubs remain backup options. London Chelsea officially announced a contract extension with 24-year-old Brazilian forward João Pedro, shutting down all rumors regarding potential interest from Catalan Barcelona. Following a phenomenal first season in which the striker registered 20 goals in all competitions and earned Player of the Year status at the club, management prepared a grand contract for him through June 2034. Chelsea continues pushing its financial and sporting policy of signing marathon 8-year deals, allowing them to optimize amortization payments and maintain full control over the transfer fates of their stars. Under the new agreement, João Pedro's base salary rose to £140,000 to £160,000 sterling per week, roughly $8.3 million per year, while also receiving a lucrative bonus package for Champions League qualification and personal goal-scoring output. At the same time, the Brazilian's contract contains 0 release clauses. Management under Todd Boehly firmly refuses to insert fixed buyout figures, guaranteeing a monopoly on dictating price during future negotiations. This move proved legally flawless against the backdrop of upcoming changes to football regulation. The reality is that in June 2026, FIFA and the Global Players Union, FIFPro, signed a historic agreement titled Transfer System 2027, which completely alters world market rules. Under this reform, triggered notably by legal precedents regarding the free movement of footballers, a clause mandating fixed release prices will become compulsory for absolutely every professional contract in the world. FIFA's core objective is to eradicate the practice of clubs tying players down with long-term deals without a buyout option. However, this global revolution comes into force only on January 1st, 2027. Because João Pedro's August agreement falls under old Premier League norms, a release clause remained completely voluntary for him. Furthermore, due to the strict civil law principle of non-retroactivity, the Brazilian's previously signed 8-year contract will not require automatic revision in 2027. A release clause marker will become mandatory for João Pedro only upon his next contract renewal, while for new transfers from 2027, English giants will simply adopt Spanish practices, writing in prohibitive buyout figures of £1 billion. Liverpool launches a massive operation to reinforce the attacking flanks, with 22-year-old Brighton right winger Yankuba Minteh emerging as a key target for the Merseysiders' new head coach, Andoni Iraola. Minteh has already fully agreed personal terms and given a green light to Liverpool's project. The Gambian seeks a career step forward and a move to Anfield, yet talks between the clubs are far from straightforward. An initial proposal of £50 million sterling was instantly rejected by Brighton. The Merseysiders improved their offer to £60 million, Yet the Seagulls continue insisting on a sum of at least $70 million. Having purchased Minteh from Newcastle in the summer of 2024 for £30 million, Brighton holds a contract with the player through 2029 and seeks to more than double its profit. In parallel, the Merseysiders are conducting intense negotiations for their primary left-wing target, 23-year-old Bradley Barcola from PSG. The Parisians value the winger at £125 million sterling. Following a rejected verbal request of £100 million, Liverpool management is preparing an official improved offer. Barcola himself refused to extend his contract with PSG, agreed terms with the Reds, and is currently isolated from the first team by Luis Enrique. Beyond the financial aspect, a crucial nuance exists in the Minteh transaction. The Gambian is currently in the treatment room following a leg injury sustained in a friendly against Roma and will return to the pitch no earlier than October. Despite this, Andoni Iraola insists on closing the transfer. Management at Liverpool views Minteh as a long-term replacement for the legendary Mohamed Salah. The Gambian possesses an identical profile, a left-footed winger operating on the right flank who boasts explosive starting acceleration and routinely cuts inside to shoot. Beyond attacking potential, Minteh ranks among the Premier League elite in counter-pressing intensity and high turnovers in the final third, making him an ideal performer for Andoni Iraola's high-pressure philosophy. A Premier League transfer explosion. Manchester City has reached a complete agreement with Lille for the transfer of 18-year-old Morocco national team holding midfielder Ayyoub Bouaddi. The total financial package of the deal stands at €100 million. The citizens will pay €95 million as a guaranteed sum, with an additional €5 million structured in performance add-ons. Thanks to such a check, Bouaddi officially becomes the most expensive teenager in Premier League history, surpassing the transfer of Lenny Yoro from that very same Lille side to Manchester United for around €70 million in 2024, while also becoming the most expensive Moroccan footballer in history. The player will sign a 5-year contract through June 2031 with an option to extend for an additional 12 months, with his medical examination already scheduled for the coming days ahead of his official presentation. Bouaddi is a versatile midfielder who operates with equal quality as a pure number 6 or a number 8. Management buys the prodigy as a long-term replacement for Spanish holding midfielder Rodri and as a key figure in the global midfield rebuild following the departures of the Ballon d'Or winner, Bernardo Silva, and Tijani Reinders. In central midfield, the Moroccan will form a new partnership with Elliot Anderson, for whom the citizens previously paid around €135 million. The primary obstacle in the lengthy negotiation process was Lille president Olivier Letang's desire to keep the midfielder in France on loan for another season. However, Bouaddi himself, who delivered a phenomenal World Cup campaign with the Morocco national team, insisted on an immediate move to the English club. Having secured €100 million, the French side gave final green light to the transfer. Manchester United reached a full agreement with Brighton for the transfer of 22-year-old Cameroon national team midfielder Carlos Baleba. The Manchester side will pay a fixed £65 million sterling, with an additional $5 million structured in performance add-ons, forming a £70 million package in total. Furthermore, the Seagulls negotiated a sell-on percentage for any future sale of the footballer. The player has already received the green light to fly to Manchester for a medical examination and to sign a 5-year contract with an option to extend for an additional 12 months. Rebuilding central midfield became top priority for Michael Carrick following Casemiro's departure as a free agent and a severe ligament injury to Manuel Ugarte sustained at the World Cup. Baleba will become the third holding midfield reinforcement for the Manchester side this summer. Previously, the club spent a combined £83 million on purchases of Andre Santos from Chelsea and Yuri Tielemans from Aston Villa. United's scouting department kept the Cameroonian on their radar for several years, and despite an ankle ligament injury sustained by the player during preseason preparation, MU management decided to permanently close the deal. Over 2 seasons with Brighton following his move from Lille in 2023, Baleba made 112 appearances. Thanks to a significant reduction in the Seagulls' financial demands compared to last year, United managed to complete the transfer on acceptable terms. Birmingham side Aston Villa closes another fundamental transfer in its summer campaign. 31-year-old German midfielder Leon Goretzka gave his final verbal green light to the Birmingham project and is preparing for a move to the Premier League. The decisive factor in talks became a personal call from Villa head coach Unai Emery, who convinced the midfielder to choose his squad over other suitors such as Juventus, Atletico, and Arsenal. Because Goretzka's contract with Bayern Munich officially expired, the experienced midfielder joins the Birmingham side completely free of charge as a free agent. Management at Villa had to satisfy serious appetites from the player. The parties reached a financial compromise at 6 to 7 million euros net per year after taxes. The initial demand from the Germans' camp for a one-time 10 million euro signing bonus was covered by the Birmingham side through structured payments, spreading installments across the entire duration of the upcoming contract. For Unai Emery, signing Goretzka became priority number one following the departures of Yuri Tielemans to Manchester United and Enzo Barnechea to Benfica, alongside the collapse of the João Palhinha transfer. The German box-to-box midfielder, who played 312 matches for Bayern and amassed immense European experience, is set to form a new midfield engine for Villa ahead of Champions League fixtures. All legal documentation is already prepared, with a medical examination and official contract signing in Birmingham scheduled for the coming days. Football authorities found themselves at the center of a fresh scandal surrounding FIFA President Gianni Infantino. CONCACAF President Victor Montagliani dispatched an official letter to the FIFA chief requesting he refrain from attending an under-14 youth tournament in the Dominican Republic. In the letter, Montagliani emphasized that Infantino's appearance against the backdrop of a systemic governance crisis and the failure of his controversial initiative regarding the partial sale of World Cup rights to private investors would divert media attention from youth sports to political infighting and permanently undermine the event's status. Despite a direct call not to attend, Infantino ignored the request and arrived in the Dominican Republic, where he has already held meetings with local politicians and leadership of the Caribbean Football Union. This move became another episode in an open confrontation. UEFA, CONCACAF, and the Asian Football Confederation have already issued a joint demand for Infantino's resignation, with UEFA even threatening a boycott of future FIFA-sanctioned tournaments. Meanwhile, South American CONMEBOL and the Confederation of African Football maintain a more restrained stance, proposing to resolve the global football chief's fate democratically during the FIFA presidential elections next March, where Montagliani himself could emerge as a primary candidate opposing Infantino.